Yeah, Bob.
Okay, welcome to Rack Shack and Benny.
Bob, I don't have any.
Commentary.
This is Phil.
This is Mike.
We're coming to you live from Lombard, Illinois.
Oh, come on.
Now, this is the newly recorded voice for Larry and Bob. On the original Open, Larry had his lower, dopier voice.
Right. He started out.
Larry the Cucumber.
He started out dopey, and then he gained IQ as we were making additional shows. So this is Rack Shack and Benny. This was the fourth VeggieTales film that we made. We think it was in the fall of 1995. Although I'm holding the box and it seems to say 98 or something, or 3. I'm not very good at reading Roman numerals. But we're pretty sure that we finished this.
Maybe the audience would know how to read Roman numerals. What is it? It's MCMXCIII. So whatever that means.
Yeah, so is that 93? If it is, it's not right.
Yeah.
If it's
not right.
98, it's not right either. But I don't think that's 98 because there'd be a V in there
Is
somewhere.
a C when you like add 3 and then a 1 is when you subtract
I can
2?
never remember.
Okay.
Now this theme song, you'll notice if you have a really old copy, there are scenes in the theme song that aren't in your original version because someone, I don't know who, went back and added newer scenes. So there are scenes from films here that obviously weren't done when the show was done. Pretty
That's right.
astonishing, really.
But the animation is much better.
The animation on the new scenes is better than the animation on the old scenes.
Great.
For context, let's see, we made Rack Shack and Benny in 95. There were no more than 10 people at Big Idea overall, total in the company, of which 9 probably worked on the show and 1 answered the phone.
We were in the screw factory at the time.
Yes, this was when we were working out of the front offices of a screw factory on the north side of Chicago on Ravenswood. If you're ever in the neighborhood of Ravenswood and Foster
yeah.
Avenue on the north side of Chicago, you could swing by a small screw factory, and that's where this show was made.
And if you smell the smell of cutting oil in the air,
Yeah.
that's what we smelled like coming home from work every
It
day.
was stinky. We worked at the only animation studio in the world where you came home smelly.
We sent out FedEx packages that when people would open them, they would comment that they stunk.
That's right.
When they open them.
We would catch a little bit of machine oil freshness inside the FedEx envelope, and then around the world they'd open it and they'd go, "Oh, what an unpleasant odor."
We like these guys.
Thank you, people of Big Idea. As you'll notice, Bob and Larry are doing something here. This is like commenting on a soap opera that someone else is putting on. Larry, we're talking about Veggie Beat magazine. We were trying to be hip and relevant.
I remember when the first animations that came through of this, the flowers weren't sticking to the oven mitt. The projection map or whatever it wasn't sticking to the glove, so the flowers were flying all over the glove.
Yeah, we have all sorts of fun making these. There's Bob looking earnest.
Mm-hmm.
He did that a lot. You'll notice if you watch these old shows like this one, Bob is shinier than in the new shows.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, he was shiny like this. Oh, that's funny. Larry can't see where he is. That's always good for a laugh.
Watch out for the sing.
Oh no! Oh,
Larry.
oh no!
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Oh, they had like an airbag in the sink, so he wasn't hurt.
They took it away for that shot, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're clever that way. So like I was saying, Bob was shiny up until, I believe, Josh and the Big Wall, and that was at the point where he got recolored, so you'll
got
notice.
buffed.
Yeah, we hired a new makeup artist. Oh, look, we're starting the story now.
This shot probably took a week to render.
This shot was a
It's so
nightmare.
easy. Look at that. I mean, to look at it now, it's just kind
Look
of
at all
so
those
simple.
circles.
But
Well, we only had, I think we had 3 or 4 systems back then, computers.
Yep.
So we had to animate and render the entire show on 3 or 4, and they were, a quarter of the speed of what they are now. He's George. That's actually a character. A whole bunch of new characters were created for this one. That being one of them. Wow, what a well-detailed set that is.
Look at that calendar. I want that calendar.
In fact, the whole environment, it evokes Shrek, or some of the finer work coming out of Hollywood today. George, this is what you can do with 9 people working on a film for about 4 or 5 months.
In 1995.
In 1995 dollars. It'd be worth like $1 million today. No, I think it goes the other way.
I think
It'd be worth
so.
about $1.95.
$1.95.
Anyway, George, we can't rewind. I was talking about George, and now we're already up to Mr. Lunt. George was actually inspired by the Coen Brothers film, a character in the Coen Brothers film, The Hudsucker Proxy. They had a narrator in that film named Moses, old Moses. And even though Moses was black and George is kind of quasi-southern, I don't know what he is. He was inspired by.
That's
the
me.
Coen
I did
Brothers
that voice of that guy under the anvil.
Oh yeah, that's one of Mike's.
Excuse me, Mr. Lunt, but you got injury.
Yeah, he still knows how to do it. That was pretty magical. Thank you, Mike, for that.
Thank you very much.
Was that a credited role or an uncredited role?
That was an uncredited role.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
still impressive.
Thank you very much.
Now, up till this point, I mean, the films we had done before this were, Where's God When I'm Scared? Oh, they're so cute. I love those bunnies. We should probably talk about the bunnies or something.
Yeah, because when we get to our next talk-throughs,
Yeah,
we're not going to have
we're not
anything
gonna
to
have
say.
anything left to
We
say.
better talk about the movie.
Oh, look, if you notice their shadows were floating because they weren't actually touching the ground in that shot. And this factory took, I mean, one guy built it, Chris Olsen built it, and it took him weeks. It was by far the biggest set we'd created to date. There are all sorts of mistakes in it, and you'll see lots of...
Well, and in fact, at the end of the song, we didn't have time to render the whole thing before our deadline, and so we ended up rendering on twos. So you notice at the very end of the song, the animation gets really choppy because it's only every other frame. Actually,
see that
starting
shot
right here.
right there
Right.
is on twos.
It's
Whoops.
every other frame.
This was the last.
Stroby.
This was the last shot we rendered in the entire film, and it was so massive because it had the whole assembly line running with bunnies and her flying and the whole set, and then we tried to pull out through the factory and do it all, and it killed us. And it was the last shot we had to finish, so we ended up having to render it on twos. That's so sad.
The sad thing is that I could probably do it on my laptop that I want to replace right now.
I think I did it on my Palm Pilot while we were talking. I was never really wild about that bunny package. We didn't have designers back then.
Or George, for that matter. What's up with that mustache, George?
It was a really nice, well-rounded clay mustache, and then someone sat on it.
It's like Play-Doh that got stale.
Yeah. Okay, now we introduced Mr. Lunt. We forgot to talk about him. We'll come back and talk about him in a minute, but now we're about to introduce Mr. Nezer, I think. And by the way, if you haven't caught on, this is a retelling of the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Mm-hmm. Still, some people never quite catch on to that, and they just think it's a really bizarre story where the characters get burned at the end.
Well, now Brazil was a big influence in this film too.
Brazil,
I think, right?
yeah. What's his name?
This little Terry Gilliam.
Yes.
Yeah. This monitor reminds me of Brazil a lot.
Some of the machines and mechanics were inspired by Terry Gilliam's Brazil. Mr. Nezer, though, the character itself, the voicing was inspired by the Oogie Boogie Man in Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. A little-known factoid.
Really? That was before 1995?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It was 94, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Christmas of 94.
Wow.
So thank you, Terry Gilliam.
Oh.
Thank you, Tim Burton. And thank you, the Coen brothers.
Now, this chewing technology was new at the time, too.
Yeah.
We thought, hey, let's just stick orbs on their cheeks and wiggle them.
Basically wiggling shiny balls on their cheeks.
Hey.
Pixar was actually so impressed with this shot that they called us and asked, how did you do those cheeks? And we said, we're sorry, we can't tell you.
Top secret.
Top secret. Of course, they stole the idea. I'm sure it came up in Toy Story somewhere. So this was actually the year that Toy Story came out, and probably came out at about the same time.
Yeah.
It's very hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, it is.
Technically, what 9 people can do in a smelly screw plant, as opposed to 180 people in a well-funded studio. Oh, this.
Okay, this takes my vote for the worst animation we've ever done. She looks like a Macy's Day balloon hovering over his crib.
Well, you know, there were only 9
It's
people.
kind of frightening.
working.
If you saw that in your crib, wouldn't you be frightened?
Oh, look, it's putting him right to sleep. Junior was so embarrassed to have to wear that baby bonnet. He wouldn't come out of his dressing room.
That
for
sucking
hours.
was
was it?
influenced by The Simpsons.
So thank you, Matt Groening, for that. You notice the buzzing texture on the floor behind him. Render technology wasn't so hot back then, and it's very hard to render a whole half-an-hour film with 4 computers. That was nice, though.
That was nice.
We make up with heart what we lack in technology. Back then.
Lacked.
Yes.
We're getting better at
We're
it.
getting better. Oh, look at that. Very
Oh, that's our
effective
crying technology. I think
Yes.
that's our first use of crying technology.
Yeah. Very similar to what you just saw in Monsters, Inc. as Sully walks away from Boo. Oh, did you see that rapid action chewing on the peas? Oh, look, they're slowing down. Oh, wow. Oh, ow. That's a little intense.
Yep.
Now, I believe Nezer's office was also inspired by some of the art direction in the Coen Brothers' Hudsucker Proxy.
Mm-hmm.
A film I'd highly recommend. Oh, like bloated whales. Now, Mr. Lunt, while we're here, we'll talk about Mr. Lunt, who was also created for this show. He was supposed to be kind of the archetypical,
He was
quintessential gangster's sidekick. The guy who's always running around saying, hey, boss, what do we do?
and your goal was to make him half Italian and half Hispanic, right?
Yeah, quasi-ethnic. I was trying to park him somewhere in between Italian and Hispanic, and he usually ends up going more Hispanic than Italian, but it's not my fault. But he was actually, the voicing for Mr. Lunt was inspired by the weasels in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So you can add that to the big wall chart of character inspirations. That's a funny scene where he says, I'm Benny Boo.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up, right?
No, that just went by.
Oh, it did? Oh, I'm sorry, you were talking. Can you please be quiet?
Look, his mustache is not moving. We didn't know how to make their mustaches move until much later.
That was a new plug-in around 1995.
Yeah, and you like the view out the window?
Six.
I think the view out that window is one of our finer matte paintings we ever.
Well, it's
hey, where'd he
smoked
come
factory
from?
glass.
But look, we defocused the background. That was very advanced.
You
for
know,
1995.
we actually did this on a Macintosh. We took these frames out frame by frame into a Macintosh and defocused them.
Right.
And then brought them back in.
Wow, and back then that's saying something.
Yep.
There's a missing frame in that shot, I noticed.
Yep.
That happened a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes we had time to go back and fix them. Sometimes we didn't. It's a nice little photograph of the bunny.
Yep.
But it's
I
squished.
got that from the calendar. Oh, it is squished. Yeah.
It wouldn't fit in the frame, evidently.
I remember sticking ties on these guys was fun.
Yeah, sticking a tie. I really liked the design, but trying to put a tie on Bob the Tomato was nigh unto impossible.
Yep.
Because his mouth touches the ground, basically. You'll notice that when we go back to him. Nice eyebrow animation. But see the tie on Bob? When he opens his mouth, it's very difficult to keep it from going into his mouth.
Yep.
Which it often did, I imagine. See, I like the clock on the wall. It's very, overall, a nice late 50s, early 60s look to his office.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to work in an office like that someday.
Well, that was like your office in the screw factory. It had
yeah, it was
shag
actually.
carpeting and
the guy
really
who
ugly curtains.
built the screw factory was a bit of a hipster, and he built himself an office with real wood paneling and shag carpet. And that was my office.
And he had his own bathroom.
He had so then I had my own bathroom.
The rest of us had to share one.
Yeah, so I could stick my head out the door and say, "Attention, little people, I have an announcement. I'm going to use my bathroom." Okay, well, we could talk about this song for about a half an hour, or we could just read the letters from parents about this song. Now, if you're watching this version, and if you're listening to my voice, you obviously are watching this version. This is the third version of the Bunny song that we created. The first version, obviously, this is where it gets fun. The first version, I mean, obviously the bad guys' song that they weren't supposed to sing had to be bad, right?
That's right.
If the song was good, it'd be okay for them to sing it, right?
That's right.
So it was really important to the story that the song was bad, right?
That's right. But there's a problem with that scenario.
So I made this song a little bit too bad, and it had lines in it. I mean, those lines, some people didn't like that, but it also had lines in, I don't love my mom and I don't love my dad. and that didn't go over very well. And
Or I won't go to church and I won't go to
yeah,
school.
well, that's still in there.
Oh, is it?
It just
Isn't
went
it?
by.
Oh, it just went by.
I
Well,
thought
you're
we took
talking
that
so
out.
much.
Well, that's what a commentary is for. I mean, I hate the commentaries where they don't say anything. You just hear them breathing. That's no fun.
Wait, let's do that for a minute.
Okay, so you can enjoy the song. Mike's going to breathe for you in rhythm with the song.
But the problem with this song, it was so catchy that it's one of our more catchy songs.
It
I
is a
think, of all
catchy
time.
song.
So the kids were just
Yeah,
too
I don't think
tempted
the
to sing
tape was out more than 3 weeks before we started getting letters. And I got a letter from one mom in particular who said she was in a grocery store and her kids started singing, "I don't love my mom and I don't love my dad."
Yeah.
And then another mom, their kids were singing with their neighbor kids, "I won't go to church and I won't go to school." And we thought, okay, maybe this wasn't such a hot thing. Because that's a song they weren't supposed to sing, and yet kids were singing it. Obviously not paying any attention to the story.
Did they learn anything?
So we did a sing-along video, and we wanted to use the song on the sing-along video because it was so, singable. So we rewrote it entirely and made, what we called the redeemed version of the bunny song, which was all good when his character was redeemed. Ooh, that's scary. Bad Bunny. That's bad. So anyway, we did that one, and then we decided we really need to change the song in the video itself. So we wrote a less bad, kind of a medium bad version, and I believe that's the one that you've just witnessed.
But then we got letters from people who didn't like that one as much as the original
Well,
one.
yeah, a few people said, "Oh, come on, man, stick with the original one." So you can. This is what I told Mike way back then in 1990, whatever.
5.
You can please some of the people, some of the time, or all of the people. No, that's not how it goes. You can please your mother almost all the time, but you can't please all the mothers any of the time.
I don't think we had the technology in 1995 to get sayings quite right.
Something like that. Oh, wow, this is an exciting part. Now, this was back before we had any designers on staff, so all of this is my own design. I designed that. I made little sketches. They're really bad sketches because I'm not a very good illustrator.
I remember doing the sound effects for this scene.
Yeah, they were big.
It was the most ambitious we've gotten with sound effects. So we just used a lot of reverb and a lot of what was the crunching? I don't know if I got that off a sound effects
What's
disc.
going on with Mr. Lunt's mustache? It's disappearing. Ooh, this was fun.
Oh, it's gone.
That
There
was
it
my
is.
idea. Put the platform on hydraulics, I said.
And I came up with the hydraulic sound there.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, back then Mike was doing all the editing, audio and video editing, because there were only 9 people. So.
And all the mouth animation too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I animated all these mouths.
Yeah, and look at all those little peas with the fronts of their hats stuck in the sand. Ooh, that's an angry face. You can't really see his mouth there because we didn't have a lighting department yet. So characters would disappear a lot due to bad lighting. But he's singing the right song. God bless him. No, it's the right song. Laura was it? Well, this was no. Laura appeared first in the story of Flibro Lou, but she didn't have a speaking role
Right.
until we got to this one.
Yep. This is Kristen Blegan's voice.
Yep. Well, that was nice. But I think they're going to get in trouble. It would have been nice to have some score right there, but we really hadn't started scoring very much yet. In fact, our first film has no score in it whatsoever. See, that's a nice place for some score.
Yep. I thought I remember there being
There
score
was score here. I don't think there's score on the one we're watching.
What's wrong? Hello? Hello?
Oh, is it over?
Oh, wait. Oh, here it comes. Silly Song
You
with
want to
Larry.
talk about this?
Well, haven't we already done that on Ultimate Silly Song
Yeah,
Countdown? Maybe I can find some other stuff to talk about. Let's see here.
How'd you come up with this song, Mike? I'll interview you.
Okay, well, I came up with this song listening to a song with my wife in the car called Los Americanos, while my wife was translating it for me. And I just thought the dynamic with her translating a song for me, which was basically making fun of me.
She being a Spanish speaker.
Yeah, she's a Spanish speaker, right? Native Spanish speaker.
From Colombia.
From Colombia, that's right. And so I just thought it was really funny, and I thought it was really it would be really funny to have Bob translating a song while Larry was basically making fun of him.
And it was funny.
Yeah, and here it is.
I think
I really know how to sell, don't I?
I think the result is self-evident.
Ron Smith here at Big Idea animated this whole silly song all by himself.
Wow.
And I think he even modeled the whole thing.
Wow.
So Ron's now the director of 321 Penguins.
Wow. You'll notice that.
And I remember another thing. The some of the background was inspired by a mural that we had in our house. So I just brought in the mural and showed it to Ron.
Wow.
And he built that on the back.
What do you know? Now you'll notice this is kind of a reference here to theme parks.
Oh yeah.
In general, and Disney theme parks specifically. You notice he's got little peas on his head there. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. And what he said was authentic Argentinian garb.
That's right.
I don't think anyone has picked that up. And those are dwarves. See, they were dwarves chasing their mother. I got a letter from some kids who thought that we were making fun of dwarves.
Really?
Yes, and their uncle was a dwarf.
Oh no, we weren't doing that.
No, we were not making fun of dwarfs. We were kind of making fun of certain theme parks that we like and we take our own kids to.
Quite often.
Nothing against them, but it's just, can be fun to have fun with things.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
God made a whole world full of things to have fun with.
That's right.
But the like butter on a bald monkey line is probably my favorite line Mike has ever written.
Really?
Yeah. My top 2 or 3 spoken phrases of all time.
Well, that should be on a T-shirt then.
Yeah, I think so. Look at him go. You'll notice that Larry's poncho is kind of dancing a little bit. Again, a limitation of our render technology at the time.
Yep. It sure would be nice if that poncho could react as Larry.
Yeah, maybe if it would move or something.
Yeah. It's a starched poncho.
So this was 1995, like we said, and there were. Did we mention there were only 9 of us that made this? With only
something.
3 or 4 computers. How many? I think we only had 3.
I think we had.
Yeah, because we had to double shift. We had 6 guys animating, and 3 would work from 9 to 5, and then 3 would come in and work from 6 to whatever.
Yep. Oh, and our editing system at the time, the Media 100, we had 6 gigabytes. Was that 6 gigabytes or megabytes?
Gigabytes.
No, yeah, 6 gigabytes. Yeah, it'd be a really kind of small. 6 gigabytes at the time, and it was an incredible amount of storage, we thought at the time. And I think we paid $8,000 for those 2 drives to hold 6 gigabytes. So, and I just bought a hard drive from my computer at home, paid $80 for 20 gigabytes.
$80?
$80, isn't that sick?
Yeah, our first hard drive that we bought to do the first show was a 2 gigabyte hard drive that cost $2,200. And we had one 2 gigabyte drive to do the whole first show.
Yep.
Now we have 2 editing systems. Each of them has 200 meg. And then central storage at Big Idea
200 gig, you mean?
Sorry, 200 gig.
Yeah.
And central storage at Big Idea is 1.5 terabytes or 2.5 terabytes or something in that range.
Yep.
See, technology, it changes. That's really what we're trying to say here.
Over the years.
If you don't like it, just wait a minute.
But you know what?
It's like the weather in Chicago.
Ropes. Let me say a word about ropes and technology. Rope technology hasn't really improved in the past 6 years.
Every time we tie up our veggies, it looks equally as bad. If you go to the Christmas show, the Toy That Saved Christmas, these guys are tied up once again, and it looks just as unbelievable. Ooh, that's not a good sign. So they're going to go down the slide. Now this was a little
this
tricky.
shot right here. This is a weird shot. It's a point of view shot that automatically. Whoa, was that re-edited? I think that might have been re-edited.
No.
Yeah, you remember because it was their point of view shot, and then it actually in the middle of it disengaged from the character's point of view and went out.
Wait a minute. Oh, look, there's another shot on 2s.
Yep. Every other frame was rendered there.
Someday we'll fix that when we have the money. He fell into a big vat of chocolate. Now, I designed those little carrot cars. I was very proud of those.
Those are nice.
The flying bunny heads that the carrots drive. Ooh, scary.
That was a BMW that I used for a sound effect there on that car.
Very impressive.
Yep.
Now, this was really our first attempt in VeggieTales at a chase scene. There are some, if you want to make movies, there are some key elements you have to be able to do. A good musical number, a good chase scene, a good emotional heart tug. And so every one of these early films kind of explored a different thing to see if we could figure out how to do it. And this was, let's see if we can do a chase scene. In retrospect, it's a kind of a pathetic chase scene.
It's a little slow, isn't it?
It's a little slow.
Hey, she put on the brakes there. That was pretty good.
Yeah, she put on air brakes of some sort. But they're clearly in trouble now. Mr. Nezzer was a lot of fun. We still like that guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't get to come back enough. And those are the same hands that were assembling bunnies on the conveyor belt. We just started slapping those hands all over the place. And you'll notice there was a gap over his head. That was a rendering mistake. Mr. Lunt there was supposed to have a catwalk over his head, and there's just a hole in the catwalk. And out the windows, of course, it's still the whiteout. It's a heavy, heavy snow.
This is actually a good-looking piece of animation right here.
Oh,
in this
yeah,
section.
the stuff in here came out really well. I think I won't even speculate as to who did it. It was either Tom Danon or Ron Smith, but it was very nice. But the fire, I just want you to know, the fire in the furnace, I animated.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I think
wow.
the opening of the furnace, of the mechanical stuff, I did that.
Oh,
But
that's nice.
Thank you very much. Whoops. This was back when I was still animating a few shots here and there. I don't think I did the smoke, though. See, now look, it's kind of hard to see them. That's that lack of a lighting department again. And now everything gets kind of crazy. Is that a train whistle I hear? Sounds kind
Yeah,
of like
I think I
train
used a
whistle.
train
Oh,
whistle.
I did that. I animated those special effects stuff coming out the windows. Yay.
Guys, did we throw into the furnace? Well, it looks like 4 guys in there now, and one of them's real shiny.
See, if you don't know the Bible story, that doesn't make any sense at all. So we're all hoping here that you know the Bible story.
There'd be a angel in there.
That'd be an angel. And he calls them out. Very white. They come out. Very woo.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
He made a quick turnaround in here, didn't he?
We didn't really have the time or the resources for a lot of introspection.
Character just sort of turned on a dime.
If only life were that simple.
Well, you could sing one of our songs.
Oh, here comes a fun one.
I was hoping you'd ask.
Now, a couple people have picked up on this already, but this song was actually inspired.
Adamant, right?
Yes,
Yep.
Goody Two Shoes,
Yep.
Adamant.
Yep.
A song that we won't sing for you right now, 'cause it wouldn't necessarily be appropriate. But it has a great groove to it, and that kind of inspired this. And this was one of the first songs that we tried to produce with live horns in it. Up till this point, almost everything was just completely synthesized or sampled. You notice they've all those P's have cut themselves shaving or something. They all-
Those P's were all the animators. Remember we
that's
put all the
right.
animators into the
That's
booth?
right. We
and
put all the animators
Yep.
in the booth in the screw factory, and had them sing. I can recognize
the
individual
booth in
voices.
the booth in the screw factory was like a fireproof safe. So it was like this
Right.
big concrete room that we actually had to get that construction adhesive and glue foam to the walls.
Larry fell off the end.
That's silly.
That's always good for a laugh.
Yep.
Sometimes when we worry about not having enough humor in the show for the kids, like we've been doing a lot of really, hopefully funny dialogue and stuff like that, we just have to remind ourselves, have Larry fall down. Have Larry fall down. It's time for Larry to bump into something. And then the kids are right back into it.
Remember this?
Yes.
We didn't have time to render
we
that.
didn't have time to finish the show,
So
basically.
let's use some quick cuts instead of a pullout.
So we got to the end, and we run out of time, we run out of money, we'd run out of everything. And so I just came up with that. I think I animated that little loop there, although maybe Ron Smith did it, so I'm not going to take credit for it. And then pulled out and said, okay, I guess this is, I guess the film's over. I guess that's it. Have George smile and twinkle his tooth, and then let's get out of here. Because it has to ship the day after tomorrow.
Oh, here's another render savings. Split Bob and Larry up and have them talk to each other.
And never
So-
show Larry. See, some directors would have said, okay, let's cut to the cucumber
That's right.
now.
But if you can just have Larry, or if you just have Bob stare at the screen, you don't have to animate Larry.
Right. That's a beautiful echo on his voice. Did you do that?
Yeah, I did. I turned up the reverb on that one.
And that was some of our first water.
That's right.
Very nice water animation.
That's right.
Larry, I'm wet. Right. Jack and Benny learned that standing up for what they believed in was pretty hard, but it was worth it. When all their
Now this was, we're coming up to
Jack and Benny
Larry's long monologue about his nimble schooner Felix.
Oh yeah, and Kenny Bunkport,
In
right?
Kennebunkport, Maine, which was the home of our former president, George Bush the First,
Yes,
which is when this was made, I believe.
that's right. No, it must have been after that. It was '95. Yeah, Bush went out of office before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he went
I
out of
was-
office in what, '92?
We were still reminiscing about the good old days, I guess, or something. Here he goes.
Remember, Larry rambled on like that, and I love my lips as well. Remember with
See, he clicked his heels together 3 times.
click, click, click.
Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Get it?
That's some funny stuff.
You know, some of the humor is just, it's so, sophisticated
Complex.
that you can show it to people and they don't laugh. See, that's a whole higher level of sophistication when people don't laugh. This is, again, shows how things that go well for Larry usually don't go well for Bob. And for some reason, most everything goes well for Larry.
That QWERTY screen was inspired by a countertop.
Yeah, our early packages were like that as well. And then we got really tired of it, so we stopped doing it. Larry said Thessalonians.
Thessalonians?
Yeah, I remember writing those. Thought, ooh, this will be fun. Let's have Larry say Thessalonians really funny. And sure enough, it was funny.
Yeah, look at
I
it.
think we can all agree to that now. Right. Good lesson, Larry. Thank you. All right. We actually got letters. I got a few letters from people saying it was really inconsiderate of Larry to leave Bob in the sink like that. You need to make another show where Bob gets out of the sink. Now, and I have to point out that Larry isn't consciously being unkind to Bob here nearly as much as he's just being Larry.
See, Larry didn't know that all he'd have to do is turn on the water and Bob would float to the top.
Or drown. He didn't know
Tomatoes
that either.
float.
Oh, look, here's the credits. These are the credits. Look on. See, that's pretty much the whole company right there.
There you go. Leslie,
yeah.
he was a fireman half-time.
Yeah, he was a half-time fireman,
He'd
and he
work
was our
every
render
third
wrangler.
day and come in and render.
And the funny thing is that he found working at Big Idea so much more stressful than being a firefighter that he quit and became a firefighter full-time. True story.
Oh, wow.
So here's all the songs. Yep. Kurt, yep. Russ did horns. Kurt helped me write all that stuff. Dance of the Cucumber.
Oh,
Yep,
there's me.
Mike did that. That's him. Yay. Kurt helped Mike. Because we don't really write songs, we write melodies. And then Mike has to Kurt has to turn them into songs.
Oh, translation, Lisa, that's
Oh,
my
Lisa,
wife.
that's
she
Mike's
helped me with
wife.
the Spanish translation.
And Lisa Vischer, that's my wife. See, we both married Lisas. Isn't that ironic? Oh, look, it's all done. Okay. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Thanks for coming.